What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Enlighten the Shadows. Today is episode 18, and we have got another amazing guest. We're out in the transfer market, despite COVID and lockdowns, despite all the restrictions, and not being able to really connect with people. I know it's tough times for all of us, but we are not stopping our mission. We're not stopping bringing you weekly episodes. And as I alluded to last week, in episode 17 with Blaine Hancock, where he talked about beating testicular cancer. I was mentioning how I've had a 2-week holiday and I'm just full of beans, and I'm buzzing to be back for you fellas and providing this material. And so before we do talk to our guest for today, episode 18, with Michelle Briggs, what I wanted to say is, as I do most weeks, is join us on the mission where we are reaching as many blokes as possible. And I've said this a couple of times in the past, fellas, that there'll be guys in your life that I simply don't know, but you do. And the message is to share our stuff on Facebook. We've got a page. I'll put that on the screen for you right now. So just like that page. But more importantly, what I want you to do, please, is we've got a private group chat and it's class. There's a couple hundred or so, I think nearly 300. I can't always remember the numbers, but on there, we've got fellas opening up, talking about really raw stuff that naturally we keep in the shadows, as I like have with the name, Enlighten the Shadows. So what this group is doing is enlighten that. And I want you to just share that group invite to as many as your mates on Facebook. And if we get one, then it's worth it. So fellas, just I appreciate you so much. And we got boys just pumping out some love and encouragement on there where we can just pick one another up. And so it's cool. And that's how we do. So yeah, also we're on Instagram and Twitter. So we just put the handle right now. That's at Enlighten the SH1. So without me going on anymore, I want to say we've got someone from Nottingham again. We've been in the market, as I said earlier. But we want to say to episode 18 viewers, we just welcome our guest today is Michelle Briggs. How you doing, Michelle? All right?
Yeah, really good, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, really excited to be here, and I've been really looking forward to this, so can't wait to get stuck in.
Buzzing, yeah. So
assuming I don't just pull my earphones out, but
well, good. This is what I do.
Excitement.
Yeah, with our episodes, like in the past, we've had all sorts. We've had like a fella's missus walk in the background a few times. We've had dogs barking, telephones calling. So yeah, we don't make it past like the shadow. So just make yourself at home. And we're just saying to our viewers, really tune into this one, because this lady's got some real expertise in the area to support our mental health and give us some strategies. So yeah, just fellas, switch off the distractions and get yourselves strapped in, because we're gonna go talking about a particular area of life which I know is impacting a lot of us. So Michelle, before we talk about the lockdown stuff and what effects that's had on a lot of blokes, can you just share with our viewers like what you do for a living and what that looks like?
Yeah. I'm a psychotherapist, and I see clients both on the telephone, via video, and in person in West Bridgford, just by the cricket ground there. What I do is I think it's really straightforward to explain. Well, I hope it is. At the end of the day, sometimes it can be helpful to speak to someone other than those you already know about what you're thinking and how you're feeling. And I spent years training not to become some expert boffin in the mind. It's actually to know how I can really be there for people, how I keep myself safe. So you can come and speak to me and you don't have to worry about me and how I'm feeling, because that's all dealt with. And so I can just be there for you and whatever you need. I don't have a prescription for anybody, which sometimes I know can be confusing. It's like, well, what do you do then? It's like, it's just some kind of weird magic where you come, we start talking and do you know what? It's sometimes if you're really struggling, it's going to take a long time, or is very likely to take a long time. But I tell you what, I've actually had this week just a brilliant week, and I knew I was coming on to speak to you. I was thinking, it must be really weird to hear someone say, I love my job so much, it gives me so much joy to hear people's problems. but it's not about listening to people's problems. It's actually that I can offer that connection to people. And then when you start to, we call it meeting, like, you know what, we all know that feeling when we just have suddenly connect with somebody, and you feel the power and any energy of that. And I think that's the magic, that something just happens that's inexplicable just when we start having that conversation, and you know that you can be safe with me. So
that is an amazing way of putting it, because for our viewers, Michelle is a psychotherapist, and if you mention that word, you think, I'm not psycho. It's like, no, fellas, it's none of that. It's none of that. It's basically a form of counselling or therapy, where it's exactly as Michelle described, about just having a comfortable environment, and no one's watching, no one's judging, and you can completely relax, be yourself, and in your own time, when you build up that trust, you can just share how you're feeling. So, Michelle, I loved how you put that, and I think it's so relevant, because me and my missus, we're having a walk the other day in the country park, and we were saying how, like, just all the lockdown measures, and I know people are bored of talking about it, and I'm not here to talk about COVID or the measurements and the restriction, none of these things, or the facts or figures. We just want to talk about, okay, how is that making us feel, and what can we do to really support one another and just project our mental health in the right direction rather than the wrong. And so we were saying how what we are doing right now, Michelle, the Zoom, recording this as an episode for YouTube, we can have the connection. I can kind of feel it already, like the vibes coming from you, and I'm enjoying it even in the last 10 minutes or whatever it's been. But it's not the same as like in person quality time and having that chat and all those social cues and all of that we can experience in the flesh, so to speak. So everyone's all zoomed out. If everyone does another Zoom quiz, I think they'll pull their hair out. Or another Microsoft Teams meeting for work, whatever it is, putting up like a mugshot of themselves, that they're sat there like that, looking at when they're actually making their breakfast or something. So, but jokes aside, like I really think there's something powerful in human connection where we were designed not to be separated. And I don't know about you, but the C words happened. It's been many months now, and people are fed up. And I think, we're in Nottingham, so there's talks of this week us going to this tier 3 business. And I don't know what your thoughts are on, but how do you see it, as a therapist, how do you see people experience this right now, and particularly in the area of loneliness?
Yeah, well, I think it's actually only recently that I read this, someone wrote this definition of what loneliness is, and I thought it was really powerful and yet so simple. So there's the amount of connection we need, which depending on who we are is this much or this much. If you're me, this much. And there's the amount of connection that we get, and the difference between, and if this is what you need and this is what you're getting, then that bit that's left is loneliness. And I wanted to pick up, what you said about, we are wired. In fact, there are very few human instincts because our brains are too big. They have to develop outside the womb. But one of the very few human instincts, is, yes, it's to eat and to drink, but the other one is to seek connection. And it's lifelong. It's not just while you're a baby until you can be independent. It's forever, and it's what we need to thrive. And I don't think you and I have any argument over that. But because it's our instinct over our lives, as we, each stage we learn how to seek and maintain connection. And I think I've come to this realization during the restrictions that we're under COVID, is that we sort of instinctively normally go and find these connections, but they've been taken away from us. So the connection that's available, so you might just say, oh, come on, let's go and get a coffee. Come round for dinner on your way home from work, that you just do without thinking about it. The thing is, I think it, and then I go to message my friend and I go, oh yeah, I can't. Even after 6 months, more than 6 months, I'm still going. Oh yeah, shit, it's lockdown. Excuse my language, sorry. It's lockdown.
Don't worry about it. Every say it real. Our mantra is what real men say.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I swear a lot. I lived in Glasgow for nearly 2 years, and I learned to swear, like proper swearing, and I've never learned to not swear. So yeah, it does come out, and thank you for for that. And so when and I think, it's the nights are drawing in. It's 7 o'clock and it's pitch black, and that's not going to get any better until January, February, and we're all over it, aren't we? Novelty's worn off, like you said. I mean, I don't like quizzes at the best of the time, so I certainly don't like them over Zoom. And I think just want to acknowledge it's hard. It's just hard, and loneliness was a problem before. And the only thing, I mean, if there's a positive I want to just scrape from this, is that at least we're finally starting to talk about it. That actually, I was checking the news before we came on, and they were actually talking about being worried for people's mental health on a news. So is that a benefit? Or at least we start to have these conversations, on the BBC. And I don't know. Go on, what were you going to say?
I think it is like, not to get into anything, but I've turned off the media now. I think they've got to answer for, but we park it there, and they've got a job.
Fair enough.
Etc. But it's a positive that they are acknowledging it now and they're talking about it. I think it's going to do more good than bad. And there's that old myth, particularly in the area of suicide, that says if you talk about suicide, it's more likely to increase suicide ideation, meaning like suicidal thoughts, and it's just absolute nonsense. So I think the fact that people are acknowledging that is tough right now, because it's almost like a cycle. We thought, oh yeah, we're coming out of the lockdown. We thought, yeah, there's light at the end of the tunnel, can see it. And despite the damage it has done, and it's done a lot of damage in many ways. And then I feel like it's almost like we're going back 180 degrees back the other way. And it's like, hold on a minute, we're going back to that again. It's like almost like people just literally can't take it in a way. So yeah, it's just mental what it's done. And as I said, like, I think the loneliness is just massive. I'm conscious of people who the government, I guess, I don't know, it's just a mistake, but they didn't think about, people who are lonely because they live alone, whether that's the elderly who have been widowed, or whether that's, naturally someone in their, 40s and 50s, 60s who have had a divorce and their kids are grown adults and they have their own family, so they're alone. Or you've got people in their 20s, 30s who are just single and they're not yet settled down married. And then you've got, people transitioning into adulthood from, say, care homes who are in supported living. There's so many plethoras of pockets of, people that I just think have been completely forgotten. And I'm glad we can just have this chat so that whoever's tuning in right now, they can access this. And I don't even think it's about them as well. You can be in a marriage, you can have family life, and you still feel that sense of loneliness too. So yeah.
And actually, you reminded me of something, that there's actually 4 kind of types of connection, and obviously, and the opposite of connection is loneliness, but 4 types of connection, which again I discovered earlier this year. It really helped me and how I think about my connections and the things I might do. We'll come on about what, I was going to say how we can catch it when in the early stages rather than later on, but I will come on to that a little bit more later. So we have that kind of intimate connection. So that's your best mate, usually your intimate partner, but that person you probably message or chat to pretty much every day, and they, that's the bit. What did you have for your dinner? It's that person, as well as there's the one that really knows you well. The next one, it's called relational, but it's your circle of friends. So it's the people you might go down the pub with, that you might ring from time to time to have a chat with. It's actually quite a broad category, but hopefully that makes sense. It's that circle of friends. The next one is that piece where it's feeling part of something bigger than ourselves. That can be supporting your local football team. I usually use that example. It can be actually going to work. Now, work covers loads of these actually, but I think I used to work for Rolls-Royce in Derby, and I felt really proud to work for them. And actually, collective is what this one's called. And I was feeling part that connection, and actually that's part of our, it feeds into our feeling connected. And the fourth one is that connection to ourselves, which can be as simple as knowing how to occupy ourselves when we've got time to ourselves. And it can be that watching telly, it doesn't mean you have to have her hobbies, it can be just simply being okay, I'm going to watch Netflix, through to that deep understanding of yourself, which can, again, I'm going as simple as, but it's not as simple at all, which connections are good for us. So which of our mates are actually healthy for us? So if we know that about ourselves, we can actually then get a feel for what's good for us, because we might feel like in theory we've got loads of mates, but actually can't talk to any of them. I wouldn't say that. And actually that leads me nicely into my research, because I've had this survey going. It's actually still running if anyone wants to do it. It's called Connection Inventory, and it's on my website.
I'll tell you what, we'll put that on the screen right now for people when they're watching this episode. Yeah, brilliant,
thank you. And I've had nearly 1,000. I'm being blown away by the number of people that have taken part. And what I have noticed, and I can't see you on the screen, Rory, at the minute because I've got my spreadsheet in front of me. But what I did was, so mainly it was people from Nottinghamshire, and I targeted, and I did a Facebook ad just to make sure I got the demographic that I wanted. And what it is these 20 questions. So it's not just, do you feel lonely or not? It's not that kind of binary on off. It's like, how often do you feel alone, or how often do you feel part of a group of friends? Those kinds of questions. And I was looking at men and women, and there's 3 questions where men struggle so much more than women do. I mean, the survey showing just a level of loneliness, which is awful, really. I think we all know it, but I've just got this data that says, anyway, so there's these 3 questions.
Before we go in this data, before we go there,
oh yeah,
like, oh frick, it's the end of the world and these lockdown measures, and I'm a bloke, and what the frick, what do we do? No,
sorry,
panic. When Michelle's going through this data, this is good because it's the building block to be aware. Once we've got the awareness, later on when me and Michelle are going to chat through, we're going to talk about some strategies, some root cause. We're going to go for it. Don't go, oh frick's sake, we're all doomed. Don't do that. Listen to this data, take it seriously if you can. This is not a teaching session, but it's really important that we catch some here, because Michelle has got nuggets for us to take away today. So like, make sure we lean in, and then we stay leaned in by not going, oh, I've got to do this. No. Sack that off. Your mental health is important. And when we go through this data, we're going to transition. So stick with us, fellas. Sorry, Michelle.
And do you know what? I'm terrible. I did, like, back in the day when I was in my 20s, I did a degree in maths. So forgive me. You'll call me out if I do too much numbers. I promise. But actually, I'm not going to go for any numbers. I just want to get these 3 questions that gave kind of where it really just stood out for me. And, so one is, how often do you feel close to people? How often do you feel you can find companionship when you want it? And how often do you feel there are people you can talk to? And so, and it's that kind of, they just really stood out for me, that they were different. And I was thinking, okay, what is it that we can do that actually, so when we're looking at who's good for us, which friends and connections, it's like, who is it that I can talk to? Like really valuing those people that you can just message and saying, oh, I'm just feeling a bit shit, or just kind of, hello, how you doing? Because you've reached out in a way, and actually it's deciding on those who are the right ones. So
definitely. So what were the figures like when you identify those 3 categories? Can you, for our viewers, like repeat the 3 questions again? Like do it quite slow, so like
do them slowly. Sorry, not just garble.
No, it's cool. I don't want the fellas to miss this. So can you just read all 3 slowly again? And then, like, can you share the data if possible? I know we're not going to disclose names, so there's no breach of GDPR, just for those who are like, whoa.
And actually the whole thing was anonymous, so if you do go and have a go at this questionnaire and you decide to submit it, I can never find out who it's come from. There's just certain criteria, like male, female, age. There's not many of them that I ask that just help me kind of do this split. So it kind of asks a question, and then it's a bit of a weird one because it then pops out this loneliness score, and it's between 0 and 100, and the higher it is, the more lonely you are. So 0 is not lonely at all, never ever, I don't even know what loneliness is. 100 would be I'm lonely all the time and it's awful. So, and anything in between. And what it was that so the first, I'll actually do them in order, like kind of worst first, if you see what I mean. First one was, how often do you feel close to people? And that got a score of 65%. And it's weird because it's compared to women who were 59%, and it's that difference that I'm pulling out, how men compared to women. The next one is, how often do you feel you can find companionship when you want it? And that's got this 67% versus 60% for women. So actually being able to go and find that mate to, you know, we'll go and have a coffee with, or whatever, or do, you know, go for a walk. And then the other one is, how often do you feel there are people you can talk to? And that was 62% compared to 57% for women. And it's that difference really that's really struck me.
Yeah, it's like about 5 to 10% split every time for each question, isn't there?
Yeah. So, and yeah, it's about like, and it felt, I don't know how it felt for you hearing those questions, but it was if it was just that person you can just say, hey, I could do with some company, or I could do the chat. That's how it felt to me. Did it feel like that to you, or something else?
It did, but it gutted me. I was like, oh my days, like, oh, yeah, this is why Enlighten the Shadows exists. So it bummed me out when hearing that. I was like, oh, flip sake, oh man, this is crap. Like, this has got to change. But it's not. It's got to change. Like, we've got to force it on blokes. It's got to change because we've got to skill ourselves. So those numbers go down, because those numbers aren't numbers; they're people.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm very like mindful of that. So when I was hearing that, I'm like, yes, this is data. Data's good. Data provides evidence and insight, but what we can't forget, just like you know, the ONS released this year, there was 4,303 men that commit suicide. Like, every single one of those were a person, and they meant something, and they were valuable, and they were made to feel that they weren't valuable, and they were so lonely, and would have scored in the 60s or higher out of 100. Yeah, a lot higher. I was trying to be conservative there, but you know, they would have really scored higher, and that just devastates me. I'm like, no bloke, no man should have to feel that way, but they do, and that's okay that they do. But it's like, right, how do we get down on their level, meet them, so that they can feel empowered and transformed to get back up again, rather than looking down at them saying, come on, you need to suck it up, come on, man up, oh, come on, mate, you got mates, you just need to pick up the phone, oh, get on with it, mate, oh, it'll be all right, or taking the mick and having a bit of banter about it. It's like, no, we need to be intentional and strategic about analysing our lives based on this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's how trying to condense it, that's how I felt in my mind as I was hearing it.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, that's actually a real person, that they feel like that.
Yeah,
You know, there's actually lots of people who feel like that.
Yeah, and then we know women are just as important, and you know, I want to encourage any woman watching or any of our episodes to do something similar, like set up a women's charity, like go for it, and we're with you. Like, you know, I know someone that I've lost personally from suicide, who's a female. That was almost the final, you know, trigger to make me start this. So yeah, I just want to state that, but I can speak into men's life because I'm a man. I can relate to men because I'm a man.
And that's what we're here for. We're here for men's mental health.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
And focusing on that. And it's just something I know from when we spoke before, I'm really passionate about. And I was really proud when I first started my practice counselling, I had a 50-50 men and women. I was like really proud of it, but I'm really sad to say that that's shifted to a more typical, like 2 women to every man, excuse me, that's on my books, which is a shame. But actually I wanted to just jump into something that you'd said to agree with you, and about the man up, or do you know the worst thing I think you can say to someone is, you know where I am if you need me. When someone's struggling, sorry, go on, I think about that. What do you think?
I relate to that so much, and and this is not a dig out session. This is not to let's have a little rant and the agony aunt session on an episode 18 in Light the Shadows, but I relate to that so much, and I have had that come my way so much. It's like there's this expectation that you have the ability and the energy and the words to say to come seek someone out because you're not feeling right. Sometimes you don't even know that you're not feeling right. You're just trying to work it out. You're just trying to comprehend and even acknowledge it. And it's like this should. I'm doing a diploma level 5 in CBT right now, and it talked about positive and negative shoulds. And then I had to describe some negative shoulds. And this is exactly one of them. Like you should pick up the phone. Like you should just call me if you're not feeling right. It's like, yes, it's easily said than done. So yeah. It makes me, I guess it makes me a bit annoyed. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's not as easy as that. It's not as easy as that.
And I don't know if I want to put, you talked about nuggets, if this is one, and I'm saying some of this data and stuff. I like to share it because hopefully it's normalizing if you're listening to this and you're struggling, you are not alone. You're not the only one, and we're doing and we understand. I don't know exactly your situation, but I know some of the feelings. So it is, anyway, sort of a bit, this is a nugget, it is like the evolution, we're hardwired to seek connection. It is also a cruel twist of evolution that the more lonely we feel, the more we will isolate ourselves. It makes no logical sense other than if I tell you, this is a bit, if you imagine you're a caveman with your tribe, and tribes stick together. If for some reason you get separated from your tribe, who knows why that might be, but separated, you're in danger. So what you're going to do if you're separated from a tribe, you're going to find a cave and hide in it and hope that they will come and find you, so that you don't so you don't get attacked by another tribe or some dangerous animal. That's what we're hardwired for and why we're like that. It's not caught up with how we live today. And so and that's why, when someone says, I often think when someone says, oh, you know where I am if you need me, I think it comes from a good place. I think people feel it in their heart that they genuinely mean it. But and this is for all of us, I know I've said it in my life, and I'm sure I do say it now. I'm no way perfect. And this is where it's the more okay that, what is it? It's just to say, yeah, okay, when do you want me to ring you next? Or, yeah, what shall we do? Shall we go? And what if I'm trying not to go, blah, 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 blah. Because I'm very passionate about all of this. It's really hard not to be just get things out in a way that makes sense to people.
It's because usually you're the listener and you're cultivated and trained, and it is your passion to sit there and create environment so that people can talk to the point where it's revelational for them. But right now, this is not what we're doing. We're coming to you and say, yo, just tell us. Stick it on a plate.
I'll tell you what though as well, because I do live on my own, and because I do listen for a living, and I love it, but I definitely notice how much I talk when I do see someone like and I'm not sure that I'm not interesting, I'm not putting myself down. I just don't, it's COVID life isn't that interesting. And so and actually I want to have this big call out to people that we try and we learn ways how to connect with each other, and it doesn't have in a better way, not as a beat, and I don't say that to beat each other up, it's about how we learning how we speak to each other and what's helpful, and hopefully by knowing some of this stuff, we just slightly adapt. And it's not about being in, being inspired. Oh, I'm going to text someone today. I'm going to just text everybody, and just to almost as this is my good deed for the day. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about doing good deeds. I'm talking about connecting with other people. We don't have to have deep and meaningful, but in a reliable, consistent way. So it's not, and again, it might be that we only have 2 or 3 people in our lives where we are consistent with, and it's not necessarily every day. You know what? It's learning what connection worked for us and being consistent and maintaining it. And the better we feel, do more of it, because there'll be somebody who isn't doing very well that wants you to reach out to them. Did that make any sense? I'm not.
It makes massive sense.
Okay.
Something that popped in my mind when you said that was how loads of media, not the mainstream media, but media, whether that's films, whether that's reality TV, whatever it may be, created this emphasis, like certainly since I've been around, since '88, is that it's good to be popular and like have lots of friends. And I couldn't tell you it's more further from the truth, because I had this harsh reality. I was into my 20s and now 30s.
Sorry, I'm just going to mute myself. I'm choking.
It's all right. So we were at this point where I was in my 20s and 30s, and I had a harsh reality and a rude awakening that I had all these friendships, and genuinely they were friendships. And I was like, and this is not to be big-headed, I was like one of the more popular people at school, like more people know me, and that was because of my sport. Like played football and I did athletics and all this, and then I went to America on a soccer scholarship, so it was like pretty big deal. Not I am a big deal, but that act was a big one because it was nothing like it in my hometown almost. So basically, so I call them acquaintances now, and it's not to dig them out, but you can't be best mates with everyone. But I was in this dream world where I thought I could be best mates with like 20, 30 people, and it's just not manageable. It's not realistic. And what actually happens is slowly over time, you understand that they're just acquaintances. It's quite superficial. And what you alluded to about that being intentional, being practical to connect, like what you find is that you create that small inner circle of, like 2, 3, 4 at the most mates who. So I'm saying that to the fellas right now, you're watching, don't like switch off. Don't go, oh yeah, he's off on one. Really listen to this, because it's important that you don't think you're the popular one. You've got to be mates with everyone. It's not about unfriending people and being cutthroat and harsh. When you see people, it's like, yeah, you're still having the banter, you still see them, but it's about being intentional with that connectedness of what Michelle's saying. So yeah, that's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, I like that. It's being intentional. And I love what you said about, it's not about cutting people off and going, right, here's my list of people I'm not going to friends with anymore. It's not that. It's just about really putting your energy. We've only got so much emotional energy, only so much connection that we need and can give. And it's about being intentional, because in the end it ends up with lots of small chains that connect together, rather than just a big mess of unconnection, which isn't English. But
no, that does make a lot of sense, big time. I was going to say to you as well, like, because we are having these restrictions and people are still struggling, are there any, from your experience and through your practice, are there any like things that you can identify for our viewers, the area of loneliness, where they there's like some telltale signs, or any root causes, or just anything that might be unseen that's a root cause? Anything you could share with the viewers to help identify, so that they're like more self-aware?
Yeah, I know. I'm so glad you've asked me that question, because there's because of course when we think of loneliness, I don't know about you, but the automatic is sad, empty, depressed feeling. That, I don't know, that seems to be as though what loneliness is perceived as. But you know what? If someone's a bit irritable or getting angry, if they are it could be anxiety. It's all right, there's so many. It's like actually drinking. You know I think how they talked about at the moment, alcohol sales have gone through the roof, and I go, oh, you know, I suppose it makes sense because we're missing people. It can be drugs, it can be gambling, over exercising, overwork. And you know what? Loneliness, it's lethal. There's a brilliant YouTube video. It's a real shame he's not alive anymore, because there's great researcher called, I'm going to get his name wrong, John Cacioppo, who it's a TED talk actually that about loneliness is lethal, and you're something like you're more likely to die from loneliness than you are from obesity, or from pollution, or from drinking. Honestly, it's astonishing. And like you say, talking about telltale signs, there are so many. And actually, I guess, does that make it difficult? But I think often it's that, yes, it can be feeling sad and depressed, but it could be if you're feeling angry. I feel that there's a lot of anger in the world at the moment. I don't know if you're, and even in myself sometimes. Like, as a friend of mine last week, and just talking to me, and I was annoyed. And I thought, this doesn't make any sense to me that I'm annoyed at this thing. I don't think it's at the thing. I think it's because I'm annoyed at being restricted and not allowed to have the connections and the life that I want. So, and I think, and I don't know, you know better than me, but typically men would be perceived as going to perhaps the angry place and feeling that maybe more than, so I don't know, you might correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tribalistic behavior. So what I mean by that is there's loneliness within it.
Yeah.
And people are yearning for connection, but they're finding it in tribalistic ways that aren't fulfilling them. So I see it on Twitter, political spheres, really volatile, like really, really volatile, angry. And politics is a beautiful thing, and it shouldn't be tainted. People roll their eyes and can't be bothered with, but it's an absolutely beautiful thing. It's how we sustain ourselves and govern ourselves and move forward together. It's really bad at the minute. People are so polarized in the world right now, whether it's your view on COVID, and people are putting themselves in like these groups without even realizing it, their opinions on the lockdowns. And like, we found something beautiful in the lockdown, in our unity, and where there's unity, there's power. And I feel like, although the lockdown was bad, there was a bittersweet part of it around like May time, and like it wasn't obsessed with the COVID thing and the anger wherever in China it came from, and the numbers and the measures working. It was like people were unified because we were trying to stick together and stay connected in that sense, despite not knowing the answers. But then there was this transition of coming out of it, and like there's all these divisions and anger in it. So there's a lot, I remember the first week of the football league started back after lockdown. There was like a couple of mass brawls in the championship, like full on like mass brawls, and even like some of the football matches, like non-league, were getting feisty. So yeah, I just think people are, oh, it's just men being men, and dismiss it, and they're just too much testosterone. It's like, no, I think there's a lot more going on than we understand. So yeah, there's a lot of emotions that arise from the loneliness, as you say, and I think it's misdirected and people don't understand it.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it's hard to connect it. It's like, why am I feeling like this? And when what I do is, if I'm feeling an emotion and I can't logically attach it to something, like I said, I seem to be annoyed at my friend, but this isn't something that would annoy me.
Yeah, like easily irritated.
Yeah, why is this irritating? Why am I irritated? And if it doesn't, and the thing is, we can easily go, oh, it must be so-and-so's fault. We do that as humans, but actually, if you think, actually, no, it makes no sense, that maybe that's telling you, I'm feeling a bit disconnected, I might be feeling a bit lonely. And if we can start to notice it, the sooner the better, because the sooner we know, we can go, do you know what? I'm going to just text my friend and just, complain about COVID or something. I'm just going to connect with them or give them a ring or something, so that we can just do it. Or it's going for a walk in nature. No, and maybe that's it about top tips. It's when you're feeling well, not when you're feeling shit because you can't do this. When you're feeling really well and really good, make a list. It can be in your head, because I don't have one written down, I have it in my head, of these are the things I like to do when I'm feeling shit. One of them is actually washing my hair. But actually I think it's about caring for I thought, why do I like washing my hair? And it's like, actually, it's caring for myself. It's massaging my head. And my body. That's what we do, isn't it? It's actually that self-care aspect of it. Yes, it is. It is ringing my mate. It is going for a walk. It could be just, sat reading, but the things that I know make me feel better. So I've got that. If I made that list when I was feeling well, so that when I'm starting to feel a bit shit, I can go, right, what are the things on my list? I know these things make me feel better. Really? And I'll do, find one that's easy to do. Yeah.
That's brilliant. And so there is a two-pronged thing I want to bring right now to the viewer.
All right, okay.
Listen up. There is a practical implementation you need to go for right now. Listen to what Michelle said. Like, she's given us something there. So whenever you're feeling a little bit on cloud nine, just list the things. Even just like be mindful. Be mindful, be in the mindfulness, in the now, in the moment. Be like, what am I doing right? Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm loving this. This is because I like it. Bang, put it on your list. Write a list, at least 5 to 10 things, so that you can use it as a referral to redirect yourself, so that you're not disconnected, so you don't feel as lonely, so that you are, having a buzz and lifting up your mood and improving your mental health. That's number one. Number two is, based on all of what we're talking about right now, there's not a more perfect moment to promote what we are going to be doing within Light the Shadows. So very quickly, without pausing this conversation, is very important, because without having a practical doing something about it, we can chat all night long on this episode. But if there's no space, there's no environment, there's no intentionality, then it's just a waffle session. So fellas, we are starting up our first ever open men's chat session. It's going to be coming up on the screen right now as the poster, the first Sunday of every month. And it's going to start about 12:30 in the afternoon, just after midday. It is going to be absolutely class. It's going to be at Rebels Gym in Nottingham. So all the information is going to be on that flyer, as I say, and I'm absolutely buzzing for this. We're going to have a lot of laughs. We're going to have a lot of problem solving skills. We're going to loosen ourselves up. We're going to get to know one another. And then we're going to have a part of the session where it's going to be more just honing in on one life topic with problem solving skills. So we can equip you guys and empower you, so that you don't need anyone necessarily looking after you. You're being self-caring. And then we're going to put this whole session together, and we're going to open up a little bit at the end, so you can start talking real about your life, how you're struggling with certain things. So that's going to be every month. And if these take off, fellas, we're going to send out more of these groups far and wide, because they should be eventually be self-running. So we're going to be up there supporting you, but in time, they're going to be self-running, because you fellas, you know what's popping off, and you've built that trust and rapport. So as I say, that is going to be called Enlisted. So we're sitting with a theme like Enlighten the Shadows. So we're going to be enlisted, just like men. We're signing up, we're showing up, and we're saying, I'm committed to this, and we're going to be brothers, and we're going to do this to the end. No quitting. So yeah, that's sign up.
Sorry, I overtook because I was excited. No, that's really brilliant, because actually these kind of connected communities, which sounds like bollocks, but these connected groups like you're doing, where you're coming, you're helping each other out, perfect, they're really brilliant. And I wanted to say something about that list. I thought about it while you were speaking, is that it can be anything. It doesn't have to be going for a walk, meditating. I hope my friend doesn't, I don't think he'll mind me telling you this. He's just saying, do you know what? I just organised some spanners. And I felt really good. And I said to him, is that your mindfulness activities? I've no idea. I just felt great.
That's mint. Love it.
It doesn't matter what we label it. And, there's no right or wrong. It's not like this is what I have to do. And that's why you have to do the list yourself when you're feeling great, because only you can know what helps for you, unfortunately.
Definitely. It's got to be personalised for sure.
Yeah, but actually by having these groups where where you all come together and actually you can share what helped for you, like organising my spanners, you can all have a good laugh and then, you know, go home and go, do you know what, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I think he had a lot that he'd inherited from various family members, and he took them to one of those men's shed things. Anyway, that's really going off topic.
I know it's
men's
not
groups and
the men's shed thing is an amazing thing that's been popping off in Britain, because like we quite like to recluse ourselves, those fellas, but we also like building and fixing things. So yeah, that stuff's class. It might be something that in like the shadows venture down one day, but one thing at a time. But we'll start with enlisted our men's group. But no, they are class, Michelle. So yeah, fellas, and I'll say I want to put up Michelle's information on the screen right now. If you're feeling lonely, get in touch with her. If you're feeling good vibes off her, just contact her. And I'll say this: I don't know Michelle in a professional sense of having therapy with her, but what I can vouch for is I know her through a friend, that she is brilliant. And also, I can't tell you enough. The best investment you'll ever make isn't getting a mortgage, isn't buying a car, but it's spending money on yourself, to go get some therapy. Not therapy as in, I've got problems. We all have suffered. We've all had problems that we've had to venture through. It's done its time on us, and it's great to sit and chat. So we'll put Michelle's stuff up on the screen unashamedly, because she's here to help you. That's what it comes down to. So get in touch with her, fellas, if you're struggling. If you're not in a Nottingham area, if you are watching this from like America or up in the north or down south, then just find local and get. In fact, Michelle, is there any like websites that fellas can access to like search up any people who they can talk to and stuff?
yeah, I'm accredited by the UKCP, and we should put this on the screen too. UKCP have a Find the Therapist, and you can go in, and it's a tool where you can put in your postcode. So anything you have, it has loads of boxes. You just have to put in your postcode, press search. In fact, I'd put people who have a photo, because you don't want to go to someone you don't know what they look like. Click the photo, click search, and they'll do it by geography. And that's the way. There's also I really, that's a really great place to start, because you'll know then that they've done the training and you can trust them. They'll keep you safe, and someone's making sure we do our job properly.
Definitely.
So, yeah,
thank you so much for that. So fellas, we've had a few practical pointers today about you cracking on, making a list about what really helps you, make you feel good. We've talked about loneliness, and in fact, Michelle, can you share it again? Right at the start of this chat, you mentioned these areas of connection, and then whatever isn't fulfilled, there's this gap, which is you being lonely. What was it again? Do you remember?
Is it the definition of loneliness?
Yeah.
So loneliness. So there's the amount of connection you need, and then if there's an amount of connection you're getting, loneliness is that gap. So you need so much. You're only, I need a pint of water. I've only got half. The loneliness is the gap there.
I love it. I've just brought it to life. Yeah. No, but that's important. So that we're really like just skilling ourselves, as I said earlier. It's so massive. And I've really been enjoying this one. It's been class. What I want to ask you, Michelle, is our Enlighten the Shadows question, which is, could you give one piece of short advice for a bloke who maybe watching this today, who just feels utterly hopeless and just wants to end it all?
Yeah, well, yeah, and I'm going to give you a longer answer than probably that you were hoping for. It's that I don't know what that feels like. I've never been there. And there's that sense of, so I can't imagine it being so hopeless that you imagine the world will be better off without you. That is not true. And so I guess it's the message from me, and I'm going to look in camera and saying, no, from me, the world will not be better off without you. And you know what, even if you are, as long in another country, as long as you check the time zone, I do counselling by telephone. you know, so get on and the website and book in, and you know, let's have a conversation.
Oh, beautiful. Love it. And there's no shame in that, because we offer free help and advice from Michelle to all of our viewers, literally week in, week out. We offer Calm 5 till midnight, their number, we put it on the screen. We'll do that right now. We also offer Samaritans as well. We put their number. So, you know, it's an amazing investment. As I said, fellas, about 5-10 minutes ago, it's an amazing investment. It's worth every pound and penny. But if you're struggling with money, just go and contact, pick up the phone for free with Samaritans and Calm. But as I said, Michelle, it's a no from her. And, you know, we say that seriously. We can have a laugh, and it's good to have a laugh. It's a no. It's like a Dragon's Den, but it is a no. And I second what she said. And I second it as a bloke who, contrastly, has felt that way multiple times in my life. And you can't describe the feeling. You can't describe how low and difficult it is to climb out, but you are valuable and you're worth something, she said. And I'm telling you right now, just pick up the phone. We're giving you solutions. We're giving you problem solving skills here. We're solving with you as a team these problems, but ultimately it relies on your hands.
Sorry, Rory.
Yeah.
Have you put on screen as well the one that's the text service? You know, if you're really struggling and picking up the phone and speaking to someone, is it Shout? Is that what it's called? We'll look it up and we'll
get it. It will come up right now on this screen for you guys. The text service coming on, because that's a really good point as well. Sometimes you just don't want to talk or say it, but even just texting it can be an amazing technique to do it. So yeah, thank you for that. Amazing. Well, fellas, we want to say thank you so much for tuning in to episode 18. Every single week, it's an absolute pleasure to bring you this. It takes a lot of work in the shadows. It takes a lot of work, but I want to tell you, it's worth every second and every kilojoule of energy. It's a privilege. So I just want to say thank you for joining us for today's episode. What we want to say to you is get on the journey on YouTube. Coming up on the screen right now is that big red button. Yes, I know, I say it every time, but when you can, pause this video, quickly press the red button below, subscribe. It takes 1-2 minutes to set up the account, bang, and you're done. We want to get to that 100 number. And I know we've got over 100 followers on Twitter and Instagram, so big shout out to you, but we haven't got the subscribers, so it's telling me something's not quite connecting there. So get yourselves on it and make sure we get to that 100 club, because the sky is the limit, and we want to reach as many blokes as possible, whether that's through the socials, through YouTube, wherever. This has been an amazing episode, and we just want to say to Michelle Briggs, thank you so much. Bless you for coming on. We really appreciate you, and I'm really hoping and praying that the fellows who are watching take on at least one thing, if not more, of the great advice you gave us. So thank you, Michelle.
Oh, and you're very welcome, and thank you. And yeah, I know you're going to be brilliant in the future, and so thank you. And see you soon.
I look forward, yeah, exactly. It's a see you soon, because I think there might be something in the horizon. I said this to Vicky Waring, who was episode 16. So fellas, check out episode 16, Vicky Waring. She lost her husband's suicide. Very, very deep, impactful stuff. So guys, as I say, thank you so much. This has been Enlighten the Shadows, episode 18 with Michelle Briggs. Have an amazing rest of the week, and God bless. Cheers, guys.